At the beginning of the story, we see a man being prepared for punishment. His only crime was striking a woman on the head with his shoe. A guard rips off the man's shirt and applies a special cream to his hands so they won't stick to the freezing metal outside. The man has no idea what horrifying punishment awaits him. Next, they hang a stopwatch with a 7-minute timer around his neck because he is about to endure 7 minutes of non-stop torture. After that, a heavy steel ring is tightly fastened around his arm. The moment his hand is forced out through the train's window, he screams in unbearable agony. His cries echo throughout the entire train car, but after only 2 seconds, the screaming suddenly stops. Outside, the temperature is minus 200 degrees Celsius, minus 328 degrees Fahrenheit. The extreme cold instantly numbs the pain, preventing the signals from reaching his brain. 7 minutes later, they pull his arm back inside. It has completely frozen solid, as hard as iron. One of the guards taps it with a spoon to make sure it is fully frozen. Then another guard lifts a massive iron hammer and slams it down with tremendous force, shattering the man's arm into countless pieces. This was how they punished people. It kept the poor from bleeding all over the train, saving the cost of cleaning up blood from the floor. As the frozen arm begins to warm, blood starts flowing through the shattered veins again, causing the man to writhe in unbearable pain. The horrifying sight sends chills down the spines of everyone living in the train's tail section. They watch in complete silence, unable to do anything to help. This all takes place in a future where Earth has been buried beneath a thick layer of ice. The endless cold wiped out nearly 99% of humanity. The few survivors escaped aboard a gigantic train that has been circling the frozen planet without stopping for the past 17 years. If the train ever stopped moving, even by accident, its engine would freeze solid and everyone on board would die. This was no ordinary train. Inside, it functioned as an entire civilization, with each train car serving a different purpose. At the very back was the tail section, home to nearly 2,000 poor and desperate people. Their lives were no better than prisoners. There was no sanitation, no comfort, and almost no real food. Their only source of nutrition was a black protein bar. For 17 years, they had eaten nothing else. Life had become so desperate that, at times, people even killed and ate one another just to survive. The next section belonged to the middle class. Compared to the people in the tail section, they lived much better lives because they had access to clean food and fresh drinking water. At the very front of the train were the luxurious first-class cars, where wealthy passengers and VIPs lived. They had paid enormous sums for their tickets, so they enjoyed lavish lifestyles, gourmet meals, and complete control over how the train was run. In the beginning, the rules had been the same for everyone on board, but once food became scarce, the rich revealed their true nature. The following day, several guards arrive in the tail section. They're looking for a violin player. Hearing this, an elderly man steps forward. He explains that both he and his wife know how to play the violin, but the guards only need one musician, so they order the old man to come with them. The old man refuses. He says he won't leave without his wife. His answer immediately angers one of the guards. Without warning, the guard attacks the elderly woman and brutally breaks her arm. Then they forcefully drag the old man away, ignoring his cries. Everyone in the tail section is furious after witnessing such cruelty, but they are completely powerless against the armed guards. Meanwhile, we meet a man named Curtis, who is working alongside his friend Jamie in the tail section. A woman named Nasi points toward her young son, revealing that he has the item they're looking for. Curtis carefully takes the black protein bar from the child. It is the same protein bar that everyone in the tail section receives every day. However, they aren't interested in the food. They're searching for a hidden message concealed inside the bar. Curtis cuts the protein bar in half and discovers a tiny capsule hidden inside it. Inside the capsule is a small red note. He studies the message but can't understand what it means, so he immediately takes it to William, the oldest and wisest man in the tail section. This time, the note contains only one name: Stephen Chow. William explains that Stephen Chow is a Korean engineer who personally designed the train's security system. He's the only man capable of changing their fate. Unfortunately, after a failed rebellion years earlier, Stephen was captured and locked away in the train's prison. The people in the tail section have suffered for so long that they see him as their last hope. With Stephen's help, they believe they can reach the engine room, and if they can seize control of the engine, they'll gain control of the entire train, including every single car, and finally reach the front. Curtis and William quickly come up with a plan. If they truly want freedom, then no matter what it takes, they must break Stephen Chow out of prison. That very night, another woman enters the tail section. This time, her request is even more disturbing. She wants a child. As soon as she arrives, she begins measuring the height of every child. Terrified, Nasi quickly hides her son behind her back. But while measuring the children, the woman notices another child hiding near her feet. She pulls the cloth away and finds the frightened child underneath. Without hesitation, the guards seize the child and drag him away by force. The moment Lucas sees the child being taken, he rushes at the guards, desperately trying to rescue him. During the struggle, Lucas accidentally strikes the woman on the head with his shoe. She doesn't say a single word. She simply takes the child and walks away. A short time later, the guards return. They forcefully grab Lucas and drag him away. His time for punishment has arrived. It is the very same punishment we witnessed at the beginning of the story. The moment Lucas's arm is forced outside the train, the freezing air instantly begins turning it into solid ice. Within only a few minutes, his arm freezes as hard as iron. Showing no mercy, one of the guards lifts a heavy hammer and smashes his frozen arm into pieces, shattering it like glass. For them, this isn't just punishment, it's a warning to everyone else. At that moment, a woman named Tilda, the train's manager, arrives. She's holding the very shoe Lucas used to strike the woman. Looking at everyone, she says, "A person's place is determined by their shoes. Shoes belong on your feet, not on someone's head. Never forget your place. From this day forward, anyone who raises a shoe against us will face an even worse punishment." Her speech fills everyone in the tail section with anger. The fire of rebellion burns stronger than ever, but they still can't fight back. Even William, the oldest man among them, had once received a similar punishment. His leg had been amputated. Watching all of this, Curtis makes a promise to himself. No matter what it costs, he will make those responsible pay for every injustice they've suffered. He refuses to spend the rest of his life living like an animal. Curtis carefully observes the train's security system and notices something important. Every door on the train unlocks at the exact same time for only 4 seconds. That means they have just 4 seconds to cross through 3 train cars before the doors lock again. Realizing this could be their only chance, Curtis begins collecting large metal drums. His plan is to use them to keep the automatic doors from closing. Later, Curtis shares another discovery with William. "I think the guards have run out of bullets," he says. "It's been years since we've seen them fire a single shot." William asks how he can be so sure. Curtis explains that during the rebellion 4 years earlier, the guards had exhausted their ammunition. Since there's no facility on the train capable of manufacturing new bullets, the weapons they're carrying now are most likely empty. That means the guards have been relying on fear alone to keep everyone under control. The next day, the people of the tail section prepare to begin their uprising. But before they can make their move, the alarm suddenly goes off. The guards have unexpectedly changed the time of their inspection. Everyone quickly hides the metal drums behind their backs and quietly takes their places. As the guards begin counting the prisoners, several people refuse to kneel. Instead, they stand their ground and shout back at the guards. In response, the guards immediately point their rifles at them. Curtis is convinced the guns are unloaded, but no one else dares to test that theory. Finally, Curtis makes his move. He charges straight toward one of the guards, grabs the rifle, points it directly at his own head, and pulls the trigger. Click, nothing happens. The gun is empty. At that moment, everyone realizes Curtis was right. Without wasting another second, the people of the tail section launch their attack. As soon as the doors open, they grab the large metal drums they had hidden earlier and use them to keep the doors from closing. Then they rush forward together. One by one, they overpower the guards. Using anything they can find as weapons, they slowly eliminate every guard standing in their way. Within a short time, they wipe out nearly all of them. Just as they prepare to move forward, a massive bold guard suddenly blocks their path. Armed with a huge iron hammer, he begins attacking the crowd, knocking people aside with incredible strength. For a moment, it seems impossible to get past him. Then a thin man steps out from the crowd. He has been waiting for this moment. Driven by years of pain and revenge, he sprints toward the giant guard, leaps onto him, and plunges a knife straight into his chest. The enormous guard collapses to the floor. After killing him, the rebels take the keys from his body. Now that they have the keys, they finally reach the prison section of the train. Their first priority is freeing Stephen Chow. They unlock his cell and find him lying unconscious inside. No matter how hard they try, they can't wake him up. Thinking quickly, Curtis searches Stephen's pockets and finds several chronal capsules. These aren't ordinary pills. They're a powerful addictive drug. Curtis gives one of the capsules to Stephen. Within moments, Stephen opens his eyes and regains consciousness. Stephen doesn't speak their language, so they rely on a translator to communicate with him. Curtis offers him a deal. "If you help us open each security door," he says, "we'll give you 1 chronolic capsule for every door you unlock." Stephen agrees, but he has one condition. His daughter Sophia must come with them. They soon learn that Sophia is also addicted to chronole, and Stephen would do anything to protect her. Without wasting any time, Stephen gets to work. Using his unique skills, he unlocks the first security door. The rebels step through it and enter the next train car. For the first time in years, they have finally begun their journey toward the front of the train. After unlocking the first security door, Stephen leads everyone into the next train car. To their surprise, the room is completely empty. There isn't a single person inside. Steven slowly walks over to one of the windows and opens the protective cover. For the first time in many years, sunlight shines directly into his eyes. He stands there, silently, taking in the view of the frozen world outside. Meanwhile, the rebellion continues moving forward, but their advance doesn't go unnoticed. The guards quickly organize a counterattack. Before long, both sides collide in a brutal fight. The guards begin slaughtering the people from the tail section one after another. The poor passengers become easy targets as the battle turns into a massacre. Seeing his friends being killed, Curtis lets out a desperate scream that echoes all the way back to the tail section. The remaining people hear his cry and immediately realize they need help. Without hesitation, they grab burning torches and rush toward the battlefield. The guards soon realize they're being overwhelmed. As more rebels join the fight, the balance begins to shift. The people of the tail section launch a relentless assault, cutting through the guards with everything they have. Watching the situation spiral out of control, Manager Tilda panics. She turns and tries to run. Before she can escape, one of Curtis's companions throws a knife that strikes her in the leg, leaving her badly injured. Curtis immediately chases after her. At that exact moment, however, one of the guards captures his close friend, Jamie. Jamie cries out desperately, "Curtis, help me!" Curtis hears him, but instead of turning back, he continues chasing Tilda. He believes capturing the train's manager will give them enough leverage to save everyone else. Sadly, he's too late. The guard drives a knife into Jamie's back, killing him on the spot. Watching his best friend die right before his eyes completely devastates Curtis. Filled with rage, he catches Tilda and takes her hostage. Pointing a weapon at her, he orders every guard to throw down their weapons. At that same moment, the train finally emerges from the dark tunnel and daylight fills the train once again. With Tilda now under their control, the rebels begin questioning her. Curtis asks, "The woman who came before, where did she take all those children?" Tilda calmly replies, "I don't know anything about that. All I know is that every child was taken to Wilford in the engine section." Curtis asks another question. Where does the train's water supply come from? Tilda explains that the water system is also located near the engine room. As the train travels through the frozen world, massive amounts of ice build up on the front of the train. That ice is melted, purified, and turned into drinking water. The clean water is reserved for the wealthy passengers in first class. The dirty water is sent to the people in the tail section. Hearing this only fuels everyone's anger. Lucas immediately attacks the guard responsible for shattering his arm, beating him without mercy. Tilda watches without showing any emotion. Then she says, "Do whatever you want. Wilford isn't coming to you. You'll have to go to him." After the battle, the exhausted rebels finally stop to rest. William quietly speaks to Curtis. He tells him that countless uprisings have taken place on this train over the past 17 years. Thousands of people have died trying to reach the front, but no one has ever made it this far. Then William gives Curtis one final warning. When you reach the door marked with the letter W, you'll find Wilford behind it. The moment you see him, don't give him a chance to speak. Kill him immediately. With those words still echoing in his mind, Curtis and the others continue moving toward the front of the train. Leaving the prison section behind, Curtis and the others force Tilda to lead them into the next train car. The moment the door opens, everyone freezes. For the first time in 17 years, they aren't looking at another dark metal compartment. Instead, they're staring at a beautiful greenhouse filled with fresh vegetables, colorful flowers, and lush green plants. The people from the tail section can hardly believe their eyes. While they were starving in the back of the train, fresh food had been growing here all along. They continue forward and enter another car. This one contains a massive aquarium filled with live fish. The sight leaves everyone speechless. Just beyond it is an elegant sushi restaurant. The tables are beautifully prepared, and fresh sushi is served right in front of them. For the first time in 18 years, the people from the tail section eat something other than the disgusting black protein bars. Tilda smiles and casually says, "You're actually very lucky. Sushi is only served twice a year." The starving passengers immediately begin eating. To them, it feels like a dream. But Curtis can't enjoy a single bite. As he looks around at the luxury surrounding him, memories of the suffering in the tail section flood back. His anger reaches a breaking point. He suddenly grabs a spoon and slams it across Tilda's face. Then he pulls one of the black protein bars from his pocket and holds it in front of her. "Today, you're eating this instead." The color drains from Tilda's face. She knows exactly what it's made of. Those protein bars are produced from crushed cockroaches. For years, she forced the poor to survive on them while she enjoyed gourmet meals. Now the roles have been reversed. With no choice left, Tilda reluctantly takes a bite of the same food she once fed the people she oppressed. It is a small taste of the suffering they endured for nearly 2 decades. After leaving the restaurant, they enter another train car. This one is filled from floor to ceiling with every kind of meat imaginable. The rebels stand there in disbelief. Food had never been scarce on this train. It had simply never been meant for them. The next car, turns out to be a school for the children of the wealthy passengers. At first glance, it looks cheerful and welcoming, but it quickly becomes clear that it isn't an ordinary classroom. The children are being brainwashed. They're taught that the people in the tail section are dirty, worthless freeloaders who never deserve to board the train. Educational videos reinforce the same message, portraying the poor as dangerous and less than human. As the lesson continues, Nasi steps forward holding a photograph of her missing son, Timmy. Desperately, she asks the children if they've seen him. One child quietly tells her. All the children were taken to the next section. For the first time in a long while, Nasi feels a spark of hope. Maybe her son is still alive. Just then, a bald man enters the classroom carrying a basket full of boiled eggs. He cheerfully announces that they're celebrating the new year and begins handing an egg to every child. The people from the tail section stare in disbelief. Many of them haven't even seen an egg in nearly 18 years. Everything seems peaceful until the bald man suddenly reaches into the basket. Instead of another egg, he pulls out a hidden machine gun. Without warning, he opens fire on the helpless crowd. At the very same moment, the classroom teacher also pulls out a firearm and begins shooting. Within seconds, the classroom erupts into chaos. People fall one after another as bullets tear through the room. Just when it seems no one can stop the massacre, one of Curtis's companions rushes forward and drives a knife into the teacher's throat, killing her instantly. The fight has only become more deadly. The classroom quickly turns into a battlefield. Bodies are scattered across the floor as the gunfire finally comes to an end. Curtis catches his breath and looks around. Then his eyes suddenly lock onto something that makes his heart sink. The leader of the security guards is holding William hostage. Before anyone can react, the guard looks straight at Curtis and pulls the trigger. William is shot right in front of him. Curtis stands frozen in disbelief. The man who had guided him through every step of the rebellion is gone. Grief instantly turns into uncontrollable rage. Without thinking twice, Curtis grabs a machine gun and opens fire. The guards are forced to retreat. In the middle of the chaos, Curtis also turns his weapon on Tilda, ending her life on the spot. With the train manager dead, there is no turning back. Now only Curtis, Stephen, and Sophia continue toward the engine section. As they move through the next few train cars, they're stunned by what they see. One car functions as a fully equipped hospital. Another contains a tailor shop. The next is a beauty salon. Every modern convenience still exists at the front of the train. It no longer feels like they're walking through a train. It feels like an entire luxury city moving across the frozen earth. Soon they enter another car where wealthy passengers are drinking, celebrating, and enjoying lavish parties. While everyone is distracted, Stephen quietly uses his skills to steal every chronolate capsule he can find. Those capsules are the only payment keeping him with the group. The three continue pushing toward the engine. Suddenly, bullets begin flying from the far end of the train. The security chief has returned. He opens fire from a long distance. Curtis fires back, but his weapon has a much shorter range, making it almost impossible to hit the guards. As the gunfight continues, Stephen asks Curtis, "Why are you so determined to reach Wilford?" Curtis falls silent for a moment. Then he finally reveals the painful truth. 18 years ago, when we boarded this train to survive, Wilford gave us shelter. But the very next day, he sent his guards. They took away all our food, all our water, and locked us in the tail section like animals. His voice begins to shake. People became so hungry that they started eating one another. I was one of them. Curtis lowers his head. I hate myself for what I did. He continues. There was a mother trying to hide her little boy from us. I killed her and took her child. Tears fill his eyes. I was about to kill that little boy too, when an old man stepped forward and asked me for a knife. We thought he wanted to kill the child himself. Curtis pauses before finishing the story. Instead, he cut off his own arm, handed it to us, and said, "If you're starving, eat this, but leave the child alone." Everyone listening is left speechless. That old man was William, and the little boy Curtis almost killed was Edgar. Curtis has carried that guilt with him every single day since. Stephen listens quietly before saying, "My goal was never to reach Wilford." Curtis looks at him in surprise. Stephen points toward the massive sealed door leading outside the train. "I wanted to open that door." He explains that for the past 18 years, he's been watching the frozen landscape through the windows. There was a crashed airplane buried beneath the snow. Every year, more of that plane became visible. To him, it meant only one thing. The ice outside was slowly melting. "The earth is changing," Stephen says. "If we wear warm clothing, we might actually survive outside." Using all of his remaining chronolate capsules, Stephen carefully builds a powerful explosive. His plan is to blow open the train's outer security door. All he needs now is a single match. Curtis has the last match left, but he refuses to hand it over. At that exact moment, the door to Wilford's cabin slowly opens. A woman steps out with a gun aimed directly at Curtis. It's the same woman who had taken the children from the tail section. She calmly says, "Mr. Wilford has been expecting you. He'd like you to join him for dinner." With that, Curtis walks into Wilford's cabin. The heavy door closes behind him, As the heavy door closes behind him, Curtis finally comes face to face with the man who has ruled the train for the last 17 years. Wilford. Wilford welcomes him with a warm smile. "Curtis, my boy, you're the first person from the tail section who's ever made it this far. I have to admit, I'm impressed." Curtis isn't interested in compliments. He stares at Wilford with nothing but anger. "You had no right to play with our lives," he says. "While the rich lived in luxury, you treated the rest of us like animals." Wilford remains calm. He tells Curtis that every person on the train was assigned a place from the very beginning. According to him, everyone is trapped together on a closed system with limited resources. Food, water, and space are all finite. If the population isn't controlled, the entire train will eventually collapse. Then Wilford asks a disturbing question. "Do you know how we keep the population under control?" Without waiting for an answer, he reveals the truth. Just as the people in the tail section prepare for rebellions, the people in the front of the train prepare to suppress them. Every uprising, every battle, every massacre had all been carefully planned. For the past 17 years, Wilford and William had secretly worked together to keep the train in balance. Curtis is stunned. He can barely believe what he's hearing. Wilford continues. "The coded messages hidden inside the protein bars, those messages had come from him. Whenever the population in the tail section grew too large, Wilford would send instructions to William. William would quietly encourage another rebellion. The rebellion would reduce the population. Order would be restored, and the cycle would begin all over again." Curtis's entire world falls apart. He finally understands why William insisted that Wilford should be killed before he had a chance to speak. William never wanted Curtis to learn the truth. Wilford admits that this latest rebellion went much farther than expected. Because of Curtis's determination, the rebels reached the front of the train for the very first time. The cost was enormous. The front section suffered massive damage, and William paid for it with his life. After a long silence, Wilford looks directly into Curtis's eyes. "I'm getting old," he says. "This train needs a new leader." He explains that William had always believed Curtis was intelligent, courageous, and capable of making difficult decisions. Wilford says he's seen those qualities for himself. Then he makes an unexpected offer. "Take my place. Become the new caretaker of the train." Curtis stands there in complete silence. He never imagined that the man he came to kill would offer him everything instead. Meanwhile, outside the cabin, Stephen and Sophia are still trying to reach Curtis. A group of wealthy passengers, intoxicated by chronolith, suddenly attacks them. Stephen fights them off while Sophia rushes toward Wilford's cabin, desperate to get the final match from Curtis. She needs it to ignite the explosive that will blow open the train's outer security door. Just then, the armed woman guarding the cabin steps outside. Sophia, who has been waiting behind the doorway, reacts instantly. She shoots the woman before she can fire. With the guard eliminated, Sophia finally reaches Curtis. But everything has changed. Curtis has already accepted Wilford's offer. Believing the train still needs someone to run it, he refuses to hand over the match. He even pushes Sophia away. At that exact moment, Sophia notices something unusual beneath the floor panels. She kneels down and removes the metal cover. Both she and Curtis freeze in shock. Hidden beneath the engine is a small child working inside the machinery. The little boy is manually operating the engine's gears to keep the train running. Curtis immediately recognizes him. It's the same child who was taken from the tail section. Wilford calmly explains the horrifying truth. The train's original mechanical parts have slowly worn out over the years. Replacement parts can no longer be manufactured. The only solution is to use children. Their small bodies are the only ones capable of fitting inside the engine to perform the work that broken machine parts once did. That's why children have been secretly taken from the tail section all these years. They weren't being rescued. They were being used as living engine components. The horrifying truth leaves Curtis speechless. Seeing the young boy trapped inside the engine changes everything. Curtis finally understands the horrifying truth. For years, the children taken from the tail section weren't being given better lives. They were being used as living replacement parts to keep the train running. Curtis's anger reaches its breaking point. He can no longer accept Wilford's twisted logic. Without hesitation, he attacks Wilford, beating him mercilessly until he finally kills him. At the same time, Curtis hands the last remaining match to Sophia. Knowing there is no other way forward, Sophia reaches into the moving engine and pulls the trapped child to safety. In the process, Curtis sacrifices his own arm, which is crushed and torn off by the machine. Meanwhile, Stephen lights the fuse on the explosive he made from the chronal capsules. Holding on to his daughter, he rushes toward Wilford's cabin for cover. Just before the explosion, Stephen desperately tries to seal the cabin door. Unfortunately, the door's control system has already been damaged and refuses to close completely. With only seconds left, Curtis, Stephen, Sophia, and the rescued child brace themselves for the blast. The fuse finally reaches the explosive. A massive explosion rips through the train, blowing apart the outer security door. Although the engine itself survives, the powerful blast triggers something even more dangerous. The unstable snow covering the surrounding mountains begins to collapse. Within moments, a gigantic avalanche crashes directly into the speeding train. The impact throws the train completely off the tracks. The front section slams violently into a tunnel, destroying it on impact. The rest of the train breaks apart and plunges thousands of feet into a deep frozen valley. The catastrophic crash kills nearly everyone aboard. Curtis and Stephen both sacrifice their lives during the disaster, but their sacrifice isn't in vain. Against all odds, Sophia and the rescued child survive. Wearing warm winter clothing, they carefully climb out of the wreckage and step onto the frozen landscape. For the first time in nearly 18 years, human beings are finally standing outside the train. As they look across the endless snow, Sophia notices something moving in the distance. A polar bear. The sight of the animal proves that life still exists beyond the train. The world is no longer completely dead. There is hope for humanity after all. With the rescued child by her side, Sophia walks into the frozen wilderness in search of a new future. And that's where the story comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed the movie. Thanks for watching.